So long video alert, man. It's kind of impossible to do a review of a country or a trip or place I've been in less than 5 minutes. We decided to take a weekend trip to Medellin, and I'm gonna just say this. I needed more time. I don't know why I thought Medellin wouldn't be cracking if Cartagena was cracking. But Medellin make Cartagena look like a small village. I'm talking about if you live in Atlanta or you familiar with the Georgia area. Comparing the two is like comparing Atlanta to Valdosta, with Cartagena being Valdosta. If you live in New York, it's like comparing the city of New York with all the boroughs to Syracuse, pretty much, or Buffalo. You know what I mean? So I didn't know that the airport is far as hell from the actual city part where all the hotels and Airbnbs are in Medellin. But it's still Colombia, so it's still cheap. I think my Uber ride was 19 bucks. Going to the hotel, going to the Airbnb, coming back to the airport was like 23 bucks. You know, for a 45-minute ride. Picture that in America. So that's probably the only thing that would be a negative. Is just how far the airport is from the actual city. But once you are actually in Medellin, it's just like Cartagena. The Uber rides are cheap, $2, $1.50. Next thing, man, the Airbnb we stayed in, it was cool. They had a guest policy, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Guest was free. Overnight, it was $25. More on that later. We drop our stuff off at the Airbnb, and me and Cuz like, we finna hit the streets. We ain't got a lot of time. Let's do it. So we end up taking a cab from our Airbnb, well, an Uber from our Airbnb over to this area called, I might mispronounce this, all of you Medellin veterans, Parque Lieras or something. It's kind of pretty much like they tourist district, you know. Man, so Friday night, it was raining. It was raining. Another thing about Medellin, the temperature is a lot different than Cartagena. Cartagena hot. You do not need no jacket. I actually had to go buy a sweatshirt that Saturday morning because that Friday night I'm out there with a t-shirt on. It was raining. It probably was about 70 degrees between, it wasn't even 70. It probably was between 59 and 65. So yeah, keep that in mind. But boy, it was still cracking. Now, one thing, you gonna see the people out there begging and stuff just like in Cartagena, but it's so much going on in Medellin, like you ain't necessarily just like a standing target because it's a lot of people from different places there. Now, one thing I will say about the people begging in Medellin, just asking for random stuff. This one little kid, he had like 4 teeth missing, and every time he would see me, he would be like, pardon me, which means for me. But he would be pointing at my hat, pointing at my sweatshirt. I'm like, but you need to be pointing at my teeth. This is what you need. Good practice to have is just put your hand in your pockets, man. Put your hand in your pockets. Whenever somebody walk up next to you trying to say something, asking you something, especially if you don't know the language, man, just put your hands in your pocket. Hold your wallet, hold your money. Yeah. All right, so the part y'all been waiting on, the women. Oh, man. Again, like I said, with the comparison between the two. So just picture Cartagena on a bigger level. So you might have 40 out downtown Cartagena kind of just strolling, 50, 60 women. Man, in Medellin, it was ridiculous. I'm talking about, and everybody was hustling, bro. We saw a midget. Selling. Hey, here go the kicker. I don't know, man. I hear people got midget, just little people. I hear people got little people fetishes. I, for one, ain't one. Their heads is too damn big. But we saw 2 big, I'm talking about, picture like 2 of the biggest Q-dogs you've ever seen hop in the cab with this midget. The whole trip, me and my cousin kept going, man, I hope that midget survived, man. I hope she made it through the night. I hope she made it. But, man, it was all kind of women out there. I'm talking about, man. I'm talking about any flavor you can think of. Just use your imagination. Tall, short, little people. I mean, you know what I mean? It was going down. This one chick kept coming up trying to solicit me and my cousin. She had a lazy eye, and I knew she didn't speak the language. I kept messing with her. I kept going, who are you looking at, baby? But I was a baby in Spanish and the rest in English. She kept going, no Nintendo. Like, no CO neither. Oh, bad eye girl. But man, it was all kind of stuff out there, man. Medellin was wild. We saw a chick. We was sitting eating, man. We saw a chick with a fat ass. I'm talking about. She was coming up the street, but once she got halfway past her, we noticed she had like a little cleft foot, like she was dragging her leg. I don't know if she was in a car accident, but she was still out there hustling. If you decide to participate in the local activities of, come on, you know what I'm talking about. Man, make sure you negotiate. Like I said in the Cartagena video, that is a tourist area, so they know you's a gringo if you down there hanging out. So make sure you just negotiate, man. Like, a lot of times, one strategy that I use, now it can backfire on you because you are running the risk of a chick being out there all night. But one thing that I would suggest, you kind of hang out. The later it get, the more the negotiating is willing to happen. You know what I'm saying? So it's either you can make their money, or you can go home. My cousin ended up copping something. She was bad. She was bad. I am not gonna lie. When he was like, hey, I'll be right back, I was like, oh, I know what that means. Now, the next day, I think he exchanged Instagrams with the girl. Bear in mind, when you try to keep up with these women, when you go back to your native countries, the places where you live, they probably gonna hit you up and ask you for some money. Now, it is what it is. So be mindful of all that keeping in touch. So, long story short, Cuz tells me, man, I ain't been able to get shawty on Instagram to really start a conversation with me. I'm trying to build some. Build what? That's all. What you I say, Cuz, did she give it to you or did she tell it to you? Because that's two different. You can't build with part two. I say, bro, you ain't got to say none of that chick, bro. You can go back to Medellin in a year. And as long as she's still working, she going to be out there on that blade, bro. So, yeah, fellas, no, you can't build nothing with none of these women if you don't speak the language. I'm just going to be 100 with you. They ain't even going to try. Like, it's to the point where you can match with a girl on like a dating app. And she gonna, as soon as she figure out you don't really speak English and you going back home in a couple days, man, she gonna unmatch your ass if she ain't trying to sell you no ass. So you know what I mean? So, now, I did take heed to most of all the videos that I saw about the social media. I mean, about the dating apps in Medellin. So, didn't really do no Tinder. I couldn't help myself. Now, I did get on the end for a minute, but I didn't meet anybody off of it. So, I say that. Medellin is pretty popular for that date rape drug. But this ain't really no date rape drug. This is a pocket rape date rape drug. They trying to get some booty. With this drug down in Medellin, they trying to get some pesos out your ass. So, and they might take a little booty. Wouldn't that be cool? Another thing too, like I say, stay off the dating apps, man. It's gonna be so much to choose from out there, bro. Like, you don't have to even. All you gotta do is just go post up on the block. Because the way it works in Colombia, man, some of these girls, it's so. Picture being dropped off into a Nelly concert. Picture you got dropped off into the tip drill video, but all the women had on their clothes. But if you got that eye, you know how to spot it. I'm talking about, boy, I got that eye, boy. She could have on a nun outfit. I can see some ass and legs. I can just see it. I've been doing it for a long time. But yeah. So stay off the dating apps in Medellin. You don't need to. Be careful too out there with them mommies, because it's a lot of Bruce Jenners. I'm talking about a lot of them, a lot of pre-Bruces. And here go the thing about that part over there is they poor. A lot of them people poor, so they can't really afford the surgeries that they do here in America. So they really be bad Bruce Jenner, if you know what I'm saying. So keep that in mind. Also, go to the mall. Man, every mall I went to down there was huge. I'm talking about, 3-4 levels. Nice name brand stores. Yeah, man. Go to the mall, man. These mall was cracking. How about we ended up with some counterfeit bread? Cause when we was participating in the local, supporting the local economy, one of the chicks was like, hey, this 5 fake. I'm talking about, hey, and if anybody gonna spot some fake money fast, it's some strippers, some drug dealers, and some hoes. So keep that in mind. And sure as water's wet, we got to looking at that thing, and that 5 shows flow. That 5 mil. Boy, we left that thing right there in the Airbnb. I am not finna get caught out here in Colombia trying to pass no fake cash. Especially if I ain't got to. I was gonna give it to one of them homeless people. I was like, but that's not nice. I did get a chance to go and check out Sweet George's, the sports bar in Medellin, owned by some Americans from Atlanta. I got a chance to go watch the Bulldog and Auburn game. Turns out, bro, Auburn fan. I'm like, how are you an Auburn fan and you from Atlanta? But anyway, it was cool. We ended up hanging out there most of that Saturday. And we just was watching football, man, and more Americans was coming through. And we was just meeting people, man, and just vibing. But yeah, man, it's a short stay. Real short stay. I'm definitely going back, looking to go back maybe around the January. And I'm definitely going to stay a little longer. Probably about a week at least. Worst case, I can just go over to Cartagena for 2 or 3 days if I choose to. But yeah, man, I definitely recommend Medellin, but that thing was cracking. Only thing that I really can't say I was too thrilled about was maybe the food, because I'm a big seafood person, and you know that's not on the water, it's in the middle of the mountains, but it's beautiful. The scenery is amazing. But yeah, other than that, man, y'all make sure y'all check it out. Got any questions or anything, please let me know in the comments.